David woke up on a cracked city sidewalk as the cold bit through his thin jacket. The concrete beneath him felt unforgiving, and his body ached from another sleepless night. The streets were nearly silent, broken only by a distant car passing through the darkness. He pulled his worn blanket closer and stared at the gray sky, wondering how his life had fallen so far. Trash and litter surrounded him, reminders of how invisible he had become to the world. He had no home to return to, no job waiting for him, and no family he could lean on anymore. Still, somewhere deep inside his chest, a small spark of hope refused to die. He took a slow breath, pushed himself up, and prepared to face another uncertain day. As he walked through the empty streets, memories of his old life flooded his mind. There was a time when he had a steady job in marketing and a modest apartment of his own. He used to wake up with plans, deadlines, and dreams of a secure future. Back then, life felt predictable, even safe, and he never imagined losing it all. Everything changed when the company downsized without warning. His savings disappeared quickly as bills piled up and opportunities vanished. Friends slowly stopped calling, and family could only offer sympathy, not solutions. Within months, the streets became the only place he could sleep. Hunger became a constant pain he learned to ignore. Fear followed him every night as he searched for a safe place to rest. Loneliness weighed on him heavier than the cold concrete beneath his body. Yet, even in his darkest moments, a quiet voice inside whispered that this was not the end. Every day on the streets felt like a battle he didn't know how to win. Some nights he found space in a shelter, other nights under bridges or abandoned benches. People passed by without making eye contact, as if he didn't exist at all. Still, he kept walking, because stopping felt more dangerous than moving forward. Occasionally, kindness appeared when he least expected it. A stranger handed him a sandwich without saying a word. Someone left a blanket beside him on a freezing night. Those small moments reminded him that humanity still existed, even for someone like him. One particularly cold morning, David stepped into a public library just to escape the wind. The warmth inside felt comforting, almost unfamiliar. Rows of books stretched endlessly, filled with knowledge and possibilities he had forgotten. For the first time in a long while, he felt calm. As he walked past the bulletin board, a bright poster caught his eye. It advertised a free workshop for aspiring entrepreneurs. He stood there reading it again and again, unsure why his heart was racing. Could this really be meant for someone with nothing left? Doubt filled his mind, but curiosity pushed him forward. He had no money, no tools, and not even a permanent place to sleep. Still, something inside him stirred, something stronger than fear. Right there, he decided he would fight for his life instead of surrendering to it. David began with the little he had. He collected recyclables from the streets and sold them for spare change. Every dollar felt hard-earned, but it gave him a sense of control. At night, he returned to the library and taught himself everything he could. He watched online tutorials, read books about business, marketing, and budgeting. Progress was painfully slow, and many days he barely earned enough to eat. Some nights he went to sleep exhausted and cold, questioning if it was worth it. But quitting felt worse than failing, so he kept going. Failures came faster than success. Products he tried to sell went unsold, and online posts were ignored. Rejection weighed heavily on his spirit and tested his belief. Yet each failure taught him something valuable he couldn't learn any other way. Slowly, he learned patience, resilience, and persistence. He began to understand that every setback was a lesson in disguise. Instead of giving up, He adjusted his approach and tried again. With every attempt, his confidence grew a little stronger. After months of effort, something finally changed. David launched a small online store selling eco-friendly products. The first orders were few, but each one felt like a miracle. Packing boxes for customers filled him with pride he hadn't felt in years. For the first time, he felt in control of his future. The streets that once defined him were slowly becoming memories. Hunger and uncertainty no longer ruled every thought. Hope was no longer just a feeling, it was becoming reality. As the business grew, David moved into a small apartment. It wasn't luxurious, but it was his own space. He finally had a roof over his head and a door he could lock. Each night, he sat quietly and reflected on how far he had come. The city that once ignored him now saw a man who refused to be broken. His days were filled with work, planning, and purpose. Despite the long hours, he felt grateful instead of tired. He knew every struggle had shaped the man he had become. David never forgot his past. He began volunteering at shelters, sharing skills, and offering encouragement. He reminded others that hope often begins with the smallest step forward. A sandwich, a blanket, or a kind word could change a life. Now, David walks through the city with quiet confidence. The streets where he once slept are behind him, but never forgotten. His journey proves that no matter how hard life knocks you down, you can rise again. Hold on to hope, take action, and never give up, because your future is waiting.